Today we are going to discuss a little bit about cults. But before we do and watch this clip, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Here we go.
Now, alongside the Creative Society website, AllatRa has a YouTube channel, Good in Action. With nearly 1,000 videos, they post about religion, the end of the world, and aliens.
Of course there's aliens.
Yeah, seriously. They believe that there are two alien races, the Apexians, who colonized our planet thousands of years ago, and the Anunnaki, who both saved and gave us these 8 pillars listed in the Creative Society rulebook.
AllatRa isn't the first group or cult to embrace an ideal of an extraterrestrial hierarchy overseeing humanity. But the reality of it is that it's all parasitic in nature and has nothing to do with ETs or extraterrestrials. And that goes across the board with people and individuals in the New Age doing this sort of ET type of stuff. Whether they believe it or not, it still comes from the same place. Let's keep watching.
Also believing that women inherently have both keys to heaven and hell in them.
And of course, the only way to heaven is through the leader's intervention.
You've said about a woman, about the fact that the keys from heaven and from hell are hidden in her.
And from hell.
The man frequently seen in these videos is Igor Danilov, the leader of AllatRa. A couple years ago, Igor and the rest of AllatRa were banned from both Ukraine and Russia, forcing them to move somewhere else. Slovakia, more specifically a boarding house along the Velka Domasha Lake, where it's been reported by various investigative journalists that Igor was having intercourse with 24 female members of the cult, and that Igor, according to his own beliefs, was helping remove any evil within them. Now, this house that they were hiding out in was discovered by a group of individual journalists who had been reporting on AllatRa over the years. And since this expose, many have been targeted by AllatRa in different disturbing ways.
Enough. This was in Los Angeles. I was invited to a place downtown by some of its associates, and they asked me questions about magic and ceremony and the supernatural. And I actually did my purification rite to someone who was there, which has since been taken down by the group because the rite in itself was called rite of or prayer to remove negativity. So however they tried to frame it ultimately led to that. Like many of the scientists that they interview, they did cut it and edit it up to try to misrepresent me. But it didn't work too well because, like I said, it all led to me working on a young lady who sat up and was like, whoa, that was cool. No one else in the group wanted to do it because they were, I guess, afraid. And it does have a reaction or an effect on the people around. So I did the interview. They wanted me to lean into people in Hollywood doing rituals and stuff like that. That's not something I really get into or have ever seen or have known anyone who takes part in any of that. I know people in Hollywood, and they have nothing to do with any of that stuff. It's just an assumption for a lot of people. So I came across this video and I had to comment on it. So this is a leader of AllatRa, and he is wanted in Ukraine and Russia. He's banned in both. And I think he is hiding out in a lake house somewhere. Turns out he is there with 24 women that he sleeps with and calls his ladybirds, or as heaven birds, something like that. And he states that the reason why he has intercourse with them is to exorcise demons from them. And this is pretty common within these type of leader personalities. However, they're not completely in control of themselves. And this is how these things operate. It's either a partial possession or full possession. However, if it makes sense, the person who is there is not completely aware. So they're kind of almost split in half, where the thoughts that they cannot control are not exactly coming from them, but they think they are. Some of these guys are in communication with certain things that put on the facade of being positive or helpful, but really are not. And in any case, it distorts the person into thinking that or believing that what they're doing is just. And we've seen this many, many times, the same thing. We've seen this with Jim Jones. We've seen this with Om Shinrikyo here in Japan. We've seen this with Keith Raniere. But that also adds to that you normally don't want to tell people who are involved with these things that who they are looking up to is a fraud or fake or cannot really do anything at all. And the reason being is that these are normally powerful or intelligent people that do have some ability. I remember when I was at the Conscious Life Expo, I talked to some of Happy Science members with he's no longer alive, but oh gosh, what was that guy's name? Anyway, I'll put it in the description or I'll put it in the subtitle. I remember something digging into me while I was talking to the individuals. I had to cleanse it and pull it out. And she was telling me just by hearing Doho, his name is Doho Gawa, I think. Just by hearing him speak, she felt a rush of inspiration. Like something had entered her. However, rather than being beneficial, it was really a schematic for controlling that individual to do whatever that the current that has her enslaved in wants, which is what a lot of these folks do. It doesn't work on everyone, of course. However, it works on enough people to these various entities and the cult leader themselves to feed off of that person's life force energy. And however you look at it, whether you don't believe in the supernatural or anything like that at all, people who get involved with these are still putting all their energy into it in a very detrimental way. And it's also part of the reason why these things are not sustainable. They always collapse at the end because it's so corrupted, even if the intentions start from a good place, like maybe some of these actually do, from the person who's writing them's perspective, or if they have any type of ability, whether it's metaphysical or talent. They since they don't know the mechanics of this, they are especially susceptible since they have so many people around them and they are open to the unseen. So that's the mechanic for these things, and I just wanted to comment on it. You never want to tell people that. You have to explain that these people are fake or frauds. You have to explain to them that you understand that they're gifted or they had a supernatural or spiritual experience with these people. But point out there have been other people with known abilities or the abilities that their followers have said they have. See, these people have experienced some things themselves, and because they've experienced it, if you tell them otherwise, it sounds like you're gaslighting them, and they are thinking, well, you don't understand. I do. I experienced this and this and this. You have to explain to them that people can have abilities and still be terrible people that want to take advantage of others. It's a delicate and complicated issue, but at the end of the day, you have to do it that way. These people join these things because they're being offered something that they didn't have before. So the mechanics, cult leader who's open, a lot of times, just like this person, they have a very feminine energy or yin energy, so they're more susceptible to these things and things entering, but they have just enough masculine energy for it for the cords or the entity that has control of them to reach out and pull themselves into people and pull them into doing basically whatever that current wants. I hope that makes sense to you guys. I know professionals in this field have other explanations, but I wanted to give everyone my take because this happens a lot. People think that because somebody has some ability, they must have everyone in their good interest. And people cannot really equate this to other things that have happened in other places, because since they've had an experience that's spiritual with one person, it cancels out all the noise around. So they're thinking, well, that bad thing can't happen within this group. So I hope that does make sense. All right, so if you like to hear explanations like this and you enjoy hearing about the metaphysical and supernatural, and you would like to even join one of my meditation or purification groups that pulls all of this stuff out in a very physical level, even pain and things like that, subscribe, turn on notifications, and be sure to comment and like this video. So I hope to see you again during one of the sessions. And if you've watched up to here, thank you so much. Until next time, I will see you later.